I don't know if global warming is fact or myth, but it's 50 degrees on New Year's Eve in Chicago. We'll take it. And out onto the field at Soldier Field come the Chicago Bears. And they're ready to take on Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers on NBC's Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels along with John Madden and Andrea Kramer. Welcome to Chicago. Final game of the 2006 regular season. The Bears are 13-2 with a win tonight. They will have swept all of the games in the NFC this season. They would go 12-0 in the conference. They'll be off next week, and they'll host a playoff game the weekend of January 13th. The road to the Super Bowl in the NFC will come through here. They have the best record in the conference. As far as Green Bay is concerned, they lost on opening day to Chicago 26-0. But right now the team playing much better. They're 7-8. They could end the season at 500 and with a 4-game winning streak. And the question, of course, everybody is asking, what about Brett Favre? Will it be his last game? We'll talk about that during the game. We'll give you our take on it. We'll also hear from Brett about his future. But John, the first thing we should talk about with Favre is his performance this season in 2006. How do you think he's played in 06 for the Packers?
You know, I think he's played well. I mean, he's still Brett Favre, and he still has that arm. Now, he doesn't run like he used to. He doesn't bootleg as much, but I don't really think that the organization gave him a lot of help around him. When you look at the team, the offensive line is young. He only has one receiver, that's Donald Driver, and either kind of has to hand the ball to Amon Green or throw it to Donald Driver. There's not a lot of there, but I don't think he's a top quarterback in the NFL now, but he's still better than half of them.
He faces the Bears. Now, last year they were beaten by Carolina in the playoffs, so there's a lot of angst in this town for a team that might wind up 14-2. People are nervous, but what do you think of the Bears as they get ready to go into postseason play?
You know, I like this Bear team. I think when, you know, people get anxious, it's about the quarterback. You know, it's always going to be, you know, how's the quarterback doing for the Bears? But they have so many other things. Rex Grossman will be all right if they can run the ball. They play good defense. And there's one area that you kind of forget about, and they're the best in all of football, that's special teams.
So a Chicago and Green Bay, and that just says NFL football. These teams have been meeting since the 1920s. Favre in the pack against the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football. And back to Chicago we come, and a happy New Year's Eve to Andrea Kramer as the Chicago Bears get ready to go to postseason play. Andrea, how are they going to do it?
Well, they will do it without cornerback Charles Tillman. He'll miss his second straight game with back spasms, but he told me he'll be back for the playoffs. Fullback Jason McKee also out, but the rest of the starters will go tonight. A different approach than Lovie Smith took a year ago when he rested Rex Grossman and 7 other starters. In addition, what's different is that Smith has already mapped out the Bears' road to the Super Bowl, literally. In Friday's team meeting, he gave the players a calendar detailing, hour by hour, day by day, their schedule from January 1st, 2007 through the Super Bowl, February 4th. He said he wanted them to see it so it would be very vivid and leave no doubt what the goal is this year.
Lovie Smith ending his 3rd season as the coach of the Bears. Before that, he was the defensive coordinator with St. Louis. Before that, on Tony Dungy's staff when Tony was at Tampa Bay. Vernon Morency, who started the season with the Houston Texans and then was traded to Green Bay in September, will run the kickback. Robbie Gould will be going to the Pro Bowl. He's one of 3 Chicago Bears special teamers who go to Honolulu. And here we go on New Year's Eve from Chicago. Morency to run it back. Out past the 20 to the 25-yard line. Bill Vinovich is the referee tonight. He'll get busy early because there's a flag on the run back.
There's no foul for a low block on number 58. He slipped. First down.
All right, they pick it up, and we'll pick it up at the 25-yard line. The indestructible one, Brett Favre, 237 consecutive starts for him, by far an NFL record. Peyton Manning about 100 behind at this point. From the 25-yard line on first down. They'll start with Amon Green running into that Bear defense after a gain of 2. And let's take a look at the offense for the Green Bay Packers.
Brett Favre, University of Southern Mississippi.
Amon Green, Nebraska.
William Henderson, North Carolina.
Donald Driver, Alcorn State.
Bubba Franks, DU.
Chad Clifton, Tennessee.
Darren College, Boise State.
Scott Wells, Tennessee.
Jason Spitz, Louisville.
Mark Tauscher, Wisconsin.
One guy who would have started was Greg Jennings. He won't. There is Ruvell Martin, who gets to start. Jennings went back to Green Bay. His wife gave birth to a baby girl today. And that is taken by Green up to the 35-yard line, close to a first down.
You know, Amon Green has always done this very well. You see he's going to cut back, starts to the right. He starts following Henderson, his fullback, to the right, and then Henderson changes it and go to the left, and he just gets right in behind Henderson. So sometimes a tailback will cut back away from a fullback. Sometimes it will cut back, an organized cutback like that one was.
Green a yard shy of the first. It's 3rd down and 1. Favre rolling left, comes back the other way, throws. That's caught by Henderson, and that'll be a first down. William Henderson over the last 4 seasons has carried the ball once. He has rushed once, and that's the 100th pass he's caught with that one rush.
You're right, and that's what William Henderson is in this Green Bay Packer offense. No matter who the head coach is, he's going to be a blocker, and he's going to be a receiver.
12th season in terms of longevity, second only to Brett Favre as a Packer. From the 37-yard line, here's Green closing in on a 1,000-yard season. Needed 12 coming into the game and now has 11 after 3 carries. Let's take a look at the Chicago defense.
Wale Okunleye, Tauntonville High School.
Alfonso Boone, Mount San Antonio College.
Ian Scott, Florida.
Alex Brown, the Mighty Gators.
Lance Briggs, University of Arizona.
Brian Urlacher, University of New Mexico.
Hunter Hillenmeyer, Vanderbilt.
Ricky Manning, UCLA.
Chris Harris, the University of Louisiana at Monroe.
Danielle Manning, Abilene Christian.
Nathan Vasher, the University of Texas.
2nd down and 9 now. Favre on the play fake, buys a ton of time, then throws, and the catch is made at the 35-yard line. And the ball is fumbled out of bounds as Holiday makes the catch, but it was fumbled and not recovered before it bounded out of bounds. And that will be a long gain for Carlisle Holiday out of Notre Dame, who threw a pass in the game against Minnesota a couple of weeks ago and makes the catch here.
Right, and that's what Brett Favre used to do so well, and I just said earlier, doesn't do as much at bootleg, where you fake the run to the left. Brett Favre bootlegs out here to the right. Look at the time that he had to get Holiday downfield.
Gain of 35. And now the handoff goes to Morency, who backs up Amon Green, and the former Houston Texan picks up a couple. It'll be 2nd down and about 8. Mike McCarthy is the first-year coach of the Packers. He was a surprising choice. I mean, he came out of nowhere. As he said, he was not the prettiest girl in the room. They looked at Sean Payton. They looked at Ron Rivera, who is the defensive coordinator for Chicago. Of course, Payton got the New Orleans job, and they went for McCarthy, who had been for 1 season the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. On 2nd down and 7, off the fake, pressure is on, and Favre just slings it away because bearing down on him was Ogunleye and Tank Johnson.
There you're going to see Tank Johnson, and he's over the right guard, the rookie Jason Spitz right here, number 72. And you see exactly what Tank Johnson does. He kind of fakes like he's going to the outside and then just takes that inside lane.
Tank Johnson, and we'll get into his story because he's been arrested 3 times in the last 18 months. His first game back in 2 weeks. 3rd down and 7. Favre stepping up, buys time, pass caught, and again that's Holiday making the catch. So 2 grabs for Holiday and a first down at the 12-yard line on this impressive opening drive for Brett Favre and the Pack.
You know what the Bears do when they go to nickel? They play 3 techniques by their tackles. In other words, both the rushing tackles play outside the guard. So Brett Favre saw that, and he knows that that he can step up, and when he can step up in that hole, he has plenty of time to find his receiver.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 12-yard line. 4 wide. And Favre lost that one out of the back of the end zone. Good double coverage there. And if anybody's going to draw double coverage, it will be Pro Bowl bound Donald Driver.
You know, the Chicago Bear defensive tackles, that's where their whole defense starts, you know, and I used to think that what they would do is really try and protect Brian Urlacher because those 2 inside guys, you know, get pressure. Then when you get, there's Harris right there, the guy that they really missed, but when you get in a pass situation, they both get outside the guard. And if one of them doesn't go inside, the quarterback can really step up in passing downs and make some big plays.
2nd and 10 from the 12-yard line. This is Green, and he now has a 1,000-yard season as he gets to the 9-yard line. Of course, 1,000 is not what it used to be, but for Amon, he's normally up into 4 figures, and this year in particular, he missed a couple of games with a hamstring pull and is their leading rusher once again.
I think Mike McCarthy's doing a good job of mixture here, Allie. You know, going drop back pass, going bootleg, running to Amon Green, doing some counter. And they do that counter stuff. That's all for Brian Urlacher in the middle.
3rd down and 6 out of the shotgun. Holiday is the man in motion. Noah Herron is the back, the 3rd down back. He goes out into the pattern. Favre throws over the middle, caught. Flag down. Driver for the moment has a Green Bay touchdown, assuming the penalty is on Chicago.
Driver looks like it's on Chicago. Brett Favre had both arms up like it was on Chicago,
number 97.
and it is on Chicago.
Penalty decline. Results of the play. Touchdown.
Mark Anderson, their rookie pass rush specialist with 15.5 sacks, is the man offside. So Favre leads them down the field, and in they go.
I know one thing. When you get down here, you better get someone up on Donald Driver. The defensive back that eventually has to cover him lined up in the end zone. That will not stop a touchdown.
That was Chris Harris. This is Dave Rayner for the point after. So Brett Favre comes into Chicago. He's owned this town during his career. 7-0 Green Bay. That's Lake Michigan on the left. Beautiful shot of downtown Chicago. Deanna Favre is there with her daughter Brittany, and there she is, making the trip down from Green Bay, which is a flight of less than an hour, a drive of maybe 3.5 hours. Devin Hester, who will be going to the Pro Bowl, he's run 6 kicks back for touchdowns this season, including 2 kickoffs, and had that 108-yard field goal miss. But he, in terms of returns, a half dozen for him as he goes to Honolulu. Rayner's kick. Fielded by Hester at the 10. Crowd comes alive. And that's why, because you don't know what you're going to get out of Hester, who's become Mr. Excitement this season. Up to the 35-yard line he goes. Rex Grossman and his offense will take it there with 9:24 to go in the opening period. 7-0 Green Bay.
Cool plays.
Thanks. How about a Bud Light?
Yeah, great.
Oh, yeah. You own it.
That's not what you think it is.
Oh? Then what is it?
Oh! Did somebody open a Bud Light?
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Here, have mine. Whoa! Bud Light? Don't do it, man!
But it's only $1.
This only costs $1. KFC Buffalo Snacker, 100% breast meat, loaded with buffalo sauce.
Buffalo for $1?
Buffalo for $1.
This train's going to Buffalo?
The 99-cent Buffalo Snacker only from KFC. Where else can you find 100% breast meat smothered in authentic buffalo sauce for just 99 cents? That's right, just like the original KFC Snacker, it's still just 99 cents. Addie, your dollar goes further at KFC.
There she goes, one that got away. You see the way she was looking at me? You're not going to believe this one. Let me take you back to what happened.
Why do I care? I mean, he's a loser.
I can't believe I won. I can't believe it. I didn't mean to spill coffee. It was hot. How could I blow that?
It was never enough.
Yeah! Sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you.
Thank you. I'm starving. You want to go, get some Chinese or something like that?
There's only one place to go for a great makeover.
Los Angeles.
The Apprentice LA. New faces, bigger challenges. This one's intense. The Apprentice LA premieres next Sunday on NBC.
Playoffs start next Saturday. We'll have a wild card doubleheader for you on NBC. Kansas City gets in because the 49ers beat Denver in overtime. They'll take on the Colts. Then we'll be in Seattle for Dallas against the Seahawks next Saturday. The playoffs begin right here on NBC. And from the 34-yard line, Thomas Jones's night begins with a stuffing by Nick Barnett.
Look at that cast that Nick Barnett has on him. That didn't affect that tackle at all. I mean, he's right here. He's the middle linebacker. He just reads that lead, and instead of waiting for the lead blocker, he just steps up because he has a gap. He takes his gap, and Thomas Jones runs right into him.
Second down and 11. And this time, Grossman will keep it, and then after faking the handoff to Rashid Davis, the pass is incomplete. Good Rex, bad Rex, but one thing about Rex, he was durable this year, and that hasn't been the case in the past couple. He's the first Bears quarterback to start every game during the regular season since 1995, when Eric Kramer did it. In fact, since the NFL went to a 16-game schedule in '78, only in 3 seasons have the Bears had a guy start every game at quarterback. Vince Evans in '81, Jim Harbaugh, now the coach at Stanford, in '91, and Kramer in '95. On 3rd and 11, Grossman throwing, and that pass is too high, intended for Rashid Davis, and Chicago's first offensive thrust is a 3-and-out.
Yeah, and Rex Grossman is proud of that, you know, starting this last game in 16 games, because that was always his but, you know, that Rex Grossman may be a good NFL quarterback, but can he stay healthy the whole season? And this is something that he is very proud of. Wasn't proud of that last throw, though, was he?
No. Brad Maynard to punt, Charles Woodson to run it back. Woodson, the former Raider, will haul in the kick at the 18-yard line. Good coverage by the Bears. Their special teams just top to bottom in terms of running back kicks, kicking, punting, and coverage. Green Bay has it again, 7-0 in Chicago. Brett Favre led him on a touchdown drive, 237 consecutive games, so that streak started in September of '92. Around the league, 202 quarterbacks have started games over that period. Peyton Manning is next at 144, and only 13 men in history have had streaks of 50-plus, so he's at 237, and who knows if that will continue next year. We'll talk about that as we go along. Here as Favre throws, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Brandon Myree out of the backfield. 2nd down and 10. Back to the touchdown we go, John.
Right, you know, we're talking about Brett Favre and what he still can do and what he can't do. This is what he can still do. Look at the pass speed, 61 miles an hour. I mean, he saw Donald Driver there, and he just zipped that thing in there. That whole drive, Brett Favre looked like he was about 28 years old, didn't he?
He was 4 out of 6 for 60 yards. I mean, he looked like he did 10 years ago. 2nd down and 10.
You know, he made that bootleg pass and everything.
And that's a pass right on the money to Rouvel Martin, running a slant. Martin getting the start tonight out of Saginaw Valley State. Free agent pickup again with Greg Jennings' wife giving birth earlier today. Jennings went home.
Yeah, we always talk about Brian Urlacher, and you always think, you know, the big middle linebacker against the run, but he is very, very good against the pass, and he's an excellent open field tackler. And he has speed, he has size, he has all those things, but he is a very good middle linebacker against the pass.
3rd down 2 out of the shotgun from the 29-yard line. Favre protected well and throwing, and that pass is caught by Rouvel Martin, who had gotten behind Manning, and then by the time help comes over, the pass was there. It floated a little bit, but he was able to adjust. Martin did on the reception, and it's 33 yards.
Yeah, Rouvel Martin makes a heck of a play on this. Here he is on Ricky Manning here. He beats him right at the line of scrimmage, Brett Favre didn't have enough on that ball. If he gets that ball out there, that could have been a bigger play. You see where Martin had to wait for it a little.
Daniel Manning getting in late after Ricky Manning had been beaten. It's first down at the 38-yard line. Green is the running back. That pump fake by Favre. Checking off and going to the left side, and it's incomplete. Intended for Carlisle Holiday, who caught 2 passes on that first drive. One thing that, that angst in Chicago, not only about Grossman and what kind of a performance he'll deliver in the playoffs, but that pass defense, allowing almost 300 yards a game over the last 3 games and 9 touchdowns.
Well, you know what they did on that last first down? They played nickel. They had 5 defensive backs in, take a linebacker out. So that was a respect that they have for the Green Bay Packer offense and the passing offense and for Brett Favre.
2nd and 10 from the 39-yard line. Take to Green. Favre stepping up, fielding the pressure, throws to the outside court. Driver makes the catch, but no. Line judge says he was out of bounds. Caught it on the chalk. Hunter Hillenmeyer covering on the play. And it will be 3rd down and 10 as Mike McCarthy sends the play in.
Yeah, that was a bootleg, but not a naked bootleg. He had Brandon Marie, his fullback, out in front making a block, and he was able to kind of get off that block, Brett Favre was, and still get rid of the ball. One of the problems that they had early with this Green Bay offense is the middle of the offensive line. Starting 2 rookie guards is tough in this league.
Spitz and College. And Favre has that one tipped, and it's incomplete. Tried to get it to Driver, but that was Urlacher over the middle, tipping it and forcing a punt.
And then Brett Favre goes up and says, good play. And again, you see these tackles, they're going to outside rush. So now Brett Favre has that whole middle, not only to step up, but to see his receiver, Donald Driver, but Brian Urlacher got back there and makes a heck of a play. This is what he does so well. Get deep, and not only get deep, but make plays when he gets back there.
John Ryan out of Canada sends the punt down inside the 5, and it's down at the 4-yard line. Getting down there to down it was Jared Bush. Nice play there to pin Chicago inside its 5 with 6:41 to play in the opening period. Green Bay leading the Bears 7-0. NHL on NBC a week from next Saturday. Here we go. From the 3-yard line, the Chicago Bears now, who went 3 and out on the first drive, have the ball for the second time. Green Bay on top 7-0, and they'll start here with Jones giving him some breathing space to the 8. Let's take a look at the Chicago starters.
Rex Grossman, Florida Gators. Thomas Jones, the University of Virginia.
J.D. Reynolds, the University of Oklahoma.
Hussein Muhammad, Michigan State University.
Bernard Berrien, the one and only Fresno State.
Desmond Clark, Wake Forest University.
John Tate, Brigham Young University.
Ruben Brown, Pitt.
Olin Cruz, University of Washington.
Roberto Garza, Texas A&M Kingsville.
Fred Miller, Baylor University.
Good steady offensive line, and that pass floats and is incomplete. Muhsin Muhammad was hit hard by Marquand Manuel, the former Packer, to break up the play. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
You know what Muhsin Muhammad has always done well is a double move. Now Al Harris, number 31, is going to be playing the whole time. You see that stop and go, the stop and go, the out and up. That's what Muhsin Muhammad does so well, and that's how he get deep. So it's not only on that, it's not only Al Harris covering him, but then it's a safety, Manuel, coming over to help.
Manuel, the former Seattle Seahawk, 5th year in the league. 3rd down and 4 now. Grossman has started 0 for 3. Under pressure and gets sacked at the 4-yard line, and that's Kabir Bajab-Biamila, who's no longer starting because they've got Cullen Jenkins starting, but they'll bring in KGB on passing downs for reasons like that.
And he beats John Tate, who was his first game back in 3 weeks. He had a bad ankle. And you see Bajab-Biamila here. He just does it with quickness. I mean, he gets his hands on him and just gets him going up the field and then comes back underneath. Bajab-Biamila is still a top pass rusher. Not a great run player, and that's why he's not playing 1st and 2nd down.
Maynard with the punt.
Like a knuckleball.
Yeah, gets a fortuitous bounce out to almost the 49-yard line. He shakes his head, but all things considered, not terrible. 44-yard kick. Brett Favre through the years on New Year's Eve in Chicago.
What will you do if you don't play?
I might come help you. I think we would be great in the booth together.
Yeah.
No offense to Al, but
well, we'd have Al too.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he could kind of be a third wheel.
Hey, listen, you get into your donut.
I didn't go for that. No. We're Brett and myself. We would need you to be the first wheel.
Well, I don't know about that. I
know about that. I'm saying that. But I told him that. I said there's no way that could happen.
Here's Favre under pressure. And Alex Brown sacks him back at the 41-yard line. So Brett, who'd been given good protection until this point in the game, all of a sudden here come the Bears, looking like the Bears.
Yeah, well, you know, they probably had enough of that, and they're going to bring their safety, Chris Harris. You'll see right here, number 46. So he comes from one side. Alex Brown is the second guy in. He's on the inside, and he's the guy that gets the sack.
Second down and 18. The ball is at the 44-yard line.
The Bears probably had enough of that and decided we're going to get some pressure.
There's a little shovel to Green, and Green takes it all the way down to the Chicago 40 to set up a third down and short. A little quick shovel pass at about 60 miles an hour.
Right. And the way he does it, he learned this from Uncle Rube, where you just take the ball back like you're going to throw and then just throw it underneath. Watch, he's looking downfield, he has the ball on his back, and then just flips it right underneath like that. And then he kind of has a screen pass out in front of him.
The old League Gross Cup Utah pass, except with some heat on it. Third down and 2. And Green, with some tough running, takes it inside the 35. So they went from second and 18 to a first down at the Bear 33 with 4 minutes to go in the quarter.
And we get a good block there by the left guard, Darren College. Watch him, he's right here, and he's going to get a good block right there to start the play. He has a good takeoff. In fact, Henderson, the lead fullback blocker, didn't even know where to go. Darren College, you know where he's from? The North Pole. Well, man, if you're an offensive lineman from the North Pole, I'll guarantee you love this weather. You can play some football on the line.
They tell me he's never lived farther south than Green Bay, and that pass is incomplete. Chris Harris breaking it up on the pass intended for Donald Lee, the tight end.
But that's the thing, you know, you start, Darren College and Jason Spitz are two rookie guards, and now you get into the 16th game of the season, and now they've had a whole year of playing. And you say, where have they improved? That is one of the areas that they really have improved, is the middle of the offensive line. Now, those guys still have to get a little bigger and a little stronger. I mean, when we were talking to McCarthy last night, he said these guys have to spend a little more time in the weight room, and you can see that, but I think they're playing very well.
Second and 10 from the 34-yard line. Favre, and that pass is intercepted. Picked off by Nathan Vasher on a pass intended for Ravel Martin. It looked like Favre thought maybe Martin would keep coming over the middle, slanting over the middle, but he stopped, and Favre gets picked.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's talking about. Vasher takes that inside, and you have to get across his face. When you come in here and you start on the slant, keep going. When he comes there, you have to get in front of him, go across his face. You can't stop. When you stop, that's going to happen. See, he throws it, he's leading them in there, and Vasher just jumps it and undercuts it, but Martin stopped.
Bears get it back at the 35-yard line. And this is Jones to the outside. And John, talking to Favre, and one of the problems is, it's a youthful team, and they have some talent, and they will eventually emerge, but like Jennings in the Minnesota game was supposed to have run a hitch. Instead, Favre throws it to where he thinks Jennings is going to be. Jennings runs down the field. It gets intercepted by Fred Smoot. That almost cost him the game. Here you got the same thing with a slant over the middle. The receiver stops, and Favre has the pass picked off.
Yeah, and I'm not making excuses for Brett Favre. I mean, he throws too many interceptions, but but they haven't given him a lot of help at that position. I mean, yeah, Donald Driver's there, and he's an experienced guy, but they don't have other experienced guys at the wide receiver.
And across the 45-yard line goes Thomas Jones, stopped there by Aaron Campman after he picks up a first down. The Bears with 44 takeaways, and they stress that. I mean, Lovie Smith talks about it every day in practice, stressing not only good defense, but let's take the ball away. Let's get turnovers.
Right, and that's where the Bears are so good, you know, in the takeover things, special teams, some things you don't see. They're great in those stats.
Thomas Jones swings to the outside, tackled by Collins. Let's take a look at the Packer defense.
Aaron Campman, Iowa Hawkeyes.
Corey Williams, Arkansas State.
Ryan Pickett, Ohio State University.
Cullen Jenkins, Central Michigan.
A.J. Hawk, The Ohio State University.
Nick Barnett, Oregon State.
Brady Papinga, Brigham Young.
Marquand Manuel, Florida.
Nick Collins, Bethune-Cookman.
Al Harris, A&M Kingsville.
And the other corner is Charles Woodson, number 21. Second down and 8. Grossman throws. That's caught by Rashid Davis. He's taken down at the 45-yard line by Patrick Dendy.
Rashid Davis, every time I see him, I'm kind of amazed how a guy like him makes it into the National Football League. Didn't play high school football, played at San Jose State, went to the Arena League, comes out of the Arena League and makes the Chicago Bears, and now he's their third wide receiver. When he plays third wide receiver as he is now, he is always the slot guy, and he's very good in the slot.
Well, 21 passes this season, third down and 2. And that pass is intercepted, and that's Nick Collins. And Nick Collins is going to run it all the way back for a touchdown. So Rex Grossman, who had not had a pass picked off in the last 3 games, after he'd had a ton of them picked off in October and November, he was back on track. But that one is picked off by Collins and run all the way back for a touchdown. 55 yards for Collins.
Yeah, and Nick Collins is a safety, and he was back there free, and he just read Rex Grossman the whole way.
Dave Rayner for the point after, and that one hits the upright, and he's no good.
You know, Rayner was having trouble in the pregame warm-up, too. And I thought that was about the wind, and he said that he had to make an adjustment there. Woo!
Coming off a game in which he kicked 3 field goals, and they were the only points for Green Bay in their 9-7 win over Minnesota a week ago Thursday.
There's Nick Collins right there, and you're going to see that he's just looking, and he's reading Grossman all the way because he was playing off the receiver, but he was watching Rex Grossman. Now watch the other end of it. Here's Rex Grossman. Watch his eyes. He goes 1, 2, 3, and he watches them all the way. So Nick Collins is back there at a free safety, at a safety position, watching the same thing. He sees it, he gets a jump on it, undercuts it, takes it in for a touchdown.
We began by talking about the angst in a city whose team is 13-2. In the first quarter, you see where the angst comes from. Grossman throws the interception, and the defense has allowed Favre to throw for 117 yards in a quarter.
You know, and I think that's why Lovie Smith said that he didn't want this just to be a meaningless game. He just didn't want a walkover. He wanted an opportunity for his team to get better and go through these things.
Devin Hester up to the 24-yard line on the return. Grossman, who might have been the league's MVP had the balloting been held after the first week of October. First 5 games he was great. Next 7 games, yuck. Last 3, fine. No interceptions, 5 touchdowns after those 14 picks in 7 games. And then he throws that one up for grabs, and Collins runs it back to make it 13-0.
You know, he was saying the other day that after he had those bad games, he made a list of everything that he did when things were going well and everything that he did when things were going poorly. And he said it just kind of boiled down to a couple of things, that, you know, that he has to step up, that he has to trust his reads, He has to take what the defense gives him and not force anything.
Cedric Benson is in the game at running back for the first time, and that pass is incomplete. And of course, some fans in Chicago wanted Lovie Smith a couple of weeks ago to go to Brian Griese, the backup quarterback. Lovie said, no chance. My guy is Grossman. Griese did see some action last week in the fourth quarter against Detroit. Played pretty well, and we will see Brian before the end of the night tonight.
Yeah, but I think there was a time, I think Lovie came close to going to Brian Griese, because remember before the St. Louis game, he had him split time in practice equal. And if Grossman didn't have a good game, Griese was going in.
And this is Benson. And finally, Collins able to ride him down after a big game. So the #1 draft choice a couple of years back, who's still playing behind the starter Thomas Jones, but is seeing more and more action, runs for 30 yards and a Bear first down.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers, you see all three linebackers here, they have good speed. But when you start one side, you get them all going that way, then you cut back and there's just one tackler there, just one gap you have to beat. He beat that backside tackle and got a big run.
30 yards, his longest gain of the season. That'll do it for the first quarter. End of 1 at Soldier Field. The Green Bay Packers 13, the Chicago Bears nothing. Sunday Night Football on NBC continues after these messages. Beautiful shot from the lake looking at Soldier Field, refurbished Soldier Field. And of course, when you talk about these teams, George Halas, for 40 seasons, he was the Bears coach, 4 10-year increments. You had Vince Lombardi, of course, and going back with Green Bay, Curly Lambeau Field, that's where that came from, obviously.
Right, and that's a great picture. To me, that's just NFL. George Halas, Vince Lombardi, that's what this is all about.
Cedric Benson now takes the ball to the 41-yard line. Second quarter getting underway. Al Michaels, John Madden, Andrea Kramer, New Year's Eve in Chicago in the final game of the regular season, and you can see that they have resodded between the numbers, so the footing there is considerably better than it is outside the numbers in Chicago. The field in pretty good shape, all things considered. Had some rain here earlier today and yesterday.
Right, and inside will affect the linemen more. Outside, of course, will affect the defensive backs and wide receivers.
Tight lies in either area. Cedric Benson to make it 3rd and 1. We go to Andrea.
Well, the first couple of series on the Bears sidelines was almost a laid-back attitude, but that changed after Rex Grossman's interception was run back for the touchdown. Grossman was exhorting his teammates, really getting them up, and it became a sense of urgency. You could really see that in the players' eyes, especially a guy like center Olin Kreutz. They couldn't wait to get back on the field, almost a feeling of they have something that they have to prove.
And right now, 3rd down and 2 as they try to mount a drive here. Grossman is one of his first 6 for 6 yards.
Let's see how Kreutz blocks here.
Well, let's see if they can recover the fumble, because it was dropped by Grossman. The snap from Kreutz, and Green Bay recovers. Ryan Pickett, who came over from the Rams and has done a great job in that interior of the defensive line for Green Bay with the recovery. Another Chicago turnover.
This is something that should never happen in pro football.
Beautiful shot downtown Chicago, 1st and 10. Green Bay after Chicago's 2nd turnover from the 39-yard line. And this is Green for a gain of 2. Amon Green, another guy who's been around for a while. Amon Green on the verge of breaking a long-standing record held by Jim Taylor, most carries and most yardage in the history of the Green Bay Packers. And of course, that stood for about 4 decades. Started his career with Seattle, was traded over in 2000, and he's been the mainstay out of the backfield for this club.
You know, Mike McCarthy was saying last night that Amon Green runs angry, and I've kind of always thought that about him. I never put it in those words, but that's the way he runs. I mean, he's a power runner, and he does run like he's a little upset.
Up to the 46-yard line, he used to have humongous fumbling problems, but that's abated over the past couple of seasons. It's 3rd down and 2 now.
Well, you know, he has one habit. He always carries the ball in his left arm, so defenders know that, you know, so they know where the ball is going to be, and where that's really a problem is when he runs to his right with the ball in the left arm, the ball is always exposed.
3rd and 2. I think you got him one night to take off that sleeve that rubberized sleeve that he had on his forearm. Favre improvising and buys time and finds the open man, and that's Ruvell Martin, who takes it inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. So Martin getting the start tonight because of the absence of Jennings, and that's a 34-yard gain for him.
You know, I know people are looking, and in fact, I'm looking and thinking, why would Brett Favre retire? Why does he have to retire? I mean, he can still move to buy time, and when he moves to buy time, he's always looking upfield, and if he finds a guy, if they get open for him, he'll put the ball right on him. 1st and 10, the ball is at the 19-yard line. Here's where the Packers have had trouble this year in the red zone.
Favre throws, and that pass is incomplete. You know, when the weekend started, the Packers still alive in the race for the playoffs, but what they really had to have happen was for the Redskins to beat the Giants last night. That, of course, did not happen. And then even with that last night Giant win, the Packers were still alive, but they needed a parlay of unprecedented magnitude. They needed 8 different things to happen today. How many of them happened? 3.
3 did happen.
3 happened, yeah.
Well,
3, 5 didn't happen.
I didn't even want to know what the 8 were.
2nd and 10 at the 19-yard line. Here's Green. You know, the funny thing, John, of all, the longest shot of those 8 was for Detroit to beat Dallas, and that did happen.
Yeah, and that was when you said, oh, that'll never happen. Detroit's terrible. The Cowboys are going to the playoffs, and, you know, and Detroit wants that first-round pick, and let me tell you, that's a bunch of baloney. I mean, you know, I know Rod Marinelli, you know, and I know players, and when they go out and play, they're not playing to get a first-round pick. I know that.
3rd down and 5.
Here's where you need a tight end, and this is where the Packers used to be real good at hitting a tight end, and they don't have that from Bubba Franks anymore.
Favre, and that's dropped. Donald Lee would not have picked up the first down anyway, and Rayner will come in now to attempt about a 33-yard field goal.
Usually when a team has trouble offensively in the red zone, you look at 2 areas. 1, their running game, and 2, their tight end. Because those are the 2 things that you have to be successful in the red zone.
And the Packers have had big problems, especially at tight end this season. 32-yard field goal attempt for Rayner. And that kick is no good, so he misses an extra point. John talking about the troubles he was having in the pregame warm-ups, and he blows this one here. Green Bay 13, Chicago nothing. Right down Michigan Avenue we go. What a beautiful street. John, you said it was the most beautiful in America. I started to think about that. I concur.
Oh, great.
That's that median strip. I mean, it's fantastic.
I love Michigan Avenue.
Decorated for the holidays. Beautiful lighting.
We just passed over the old Billy Goat Cafe there.
From the 22 now, Chicago after the missed field goal. That's caught by the Moose, Muhammad. And Woodson will run him out of bounds just shy of the 50-yard line.
Yeah, I think one of the things you have to do when you're down and you haven't gotten anything going offensively, you have to get the ball to playmakers. And I think that Moose and Muhammad is that guy. I mean, he'll catch the underneath stuff. He'll catch the stuff coming across. I mean, he is a big, strong, tough guy. He's a very good blocker.
6'2" and 215 lined up against Al Harris. Grossman now slings it over the middle, and the receiver fell down, and the pass bounces off Woodson.
I think it knocked him out.
Yeah, almost. Bernard Berrien fell down, and Woodson was looking at Berrien, and the next thing you know, the pass was right there, and he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, Woodson looked like he took a left hook on that one. Watch him here. He starts, Berrien falls down, Woodson falls down, and the ball hits him right in the face. Now, Berrien is a speed guy. You know, we talk about Muhammad, the things that he does, and then Bernard Berrien on the other side is a guy that's going to go deep.
2nd down and 10. This is Benson now. Some tough running through the middle into Green Bay territory to the 45-yard line, where he's tackled by Aaron Campman.
Every time we do a Bear game, they say that Cedric Benson is starting to come around now. He's squaring his shoulders. He's hitting the hole. He's doing all those things. But when you're the 4th player picked in the draft, don't you feel that you should have been doing it before this?
No question. I mean, that's why you're picking him in the number 4 spot. Thomas Jones is a pretty good back, but I mean, you would figure a guy going 4th overall would ascend to the number 1 spot, but he hasn't. They're sharing time. This is Jones in the game right now, in fact, on 3rd down and 4. Grossman throws to the outside, and that one is picked off. So Woodson, after taking one in the face, comes back and intercepts here. And, of course, the crowd is very unsettled. Cullen Jenkins put the pressure on, and that's the 3rd turnover for the Bears.
Cullen Jenkins is still down, but I think he hit Rex Grossman just as he throws this ball. Watch Cullen Jenkins coming from that backside, but still, that was a bad throw. I mean, that was trying to fit a pass into some place that was unfittable.
On Tuesday morning from Washington, Tuesday on the Today Show. From the 43 after Chicago's 3rd turnover, this is Green, and I'm on with 8 tough yards. So Chicago has turned the ball over 3 times on 3rd down. And of course, John, the story tonight about Favre, the consensus around the country seems to be that he's going to come back next year because he's played well, as you said at the beginning this year, this season at the beginning of the show. But, you know, we spent a lot of time talking to him yesterday, and Mike McCarthy as well. And we'll hear from Brett from time to time throughout the game tonight as that pass is caught by Lee for a 1st down. But I don't know, I came away thinking if you had to make the call here, I might go the other way. I might go a little bit toward retirement instead of coming back next year.
You know, I went into that meeting we had with Brett last night, and I thought he was going to be back. I thought there's no way that he won't be back. After talking to him, I thought he's probably going to retire. As I watch him here tonight, I think he's going to be back. You know what he's doing tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah, he's going to have surgery tomorrow. This is Donald Driver on an end around, and Brett was in there to block, but Driver gets taken down behind the line of scrimmage. So what does that tell you? Tomorrow is New Year's Day. You normally don't have surgery on New Year's Day, but Brett he's already lined up to have it when he goes back to Green Bay on that left ankle, which has been bothering him for a long time.
Right, and I think that's going to be part of his decision. I mean, he already talked to Ted Thompson, the general manager. He talked to Mike McCarthy. He asked you if they want him back. They said, yes, they want him back. Now he wants to get that ankle fixed, and I think when you get operated on New Year's Day, you're doing it to get it over with quickly to find out something. So I think that's part of his decision.
2nd down and 16. It's arthroscopic surgery on the ankle, and that is incomplete. But some of the things that he said last night, he said, look, it's never going to be easy to walk away. I haven't made a for sure decision. And there's his wife, Deanna. They went out to dinner the other night, and he starts to vacillate, and Deanna says, oh no, here we go again, because they went through the exact same thing last year.
And Deanna said that she doesn't want to be part of it this year. Do whatever you want to do, but don't get me involved in it.
Right. Last year, the family very much wanted him to come back and play this year. On 3rd and 16, it's a screen to Green, and Green takes it to the 39-yard line. And the one thing he said, and he said the same thing when we talked to him last year toward the end of the season, and he had the same decision to make. He said, look, no matter which way I go, I'm still going to have some doubt.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about being a football player and retiring is the finality of it. It's not like some other job where you say, geez, I think I'll try something else for a while, and if it doesn't work, you go back. Once you go away from it, in a couple of years, there's no way you can come back to it. Your playing days are over. You'll never play again the rest of your life, and that is a big, big thing.
Hester, signaling for the fair catch, makes it at the 9-yard line. But one thing he did say, last year Favre waited until the spring. He said, this year I'm going to give them a decision right away, meaning within a couple of weeks. 13-0 Green Bay. Next Saturday, postseason play begins right here on NBC. We'll have a wild card doubleheader for you. First game will be Kansas City at Indianapolis, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. Nightcap, Dallas and Seattle, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We'll look down the Chicago River at the Wrigley Building. Back we come to Soldier Field. Rex Grossman on 1st down from the 10-yard line hands the ball to Benson up at the 12-yard line. Stopped after a gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down
You know, one thing Mike McCarthy said last night, he said, if we're going to win, if we're going to beat the Bears, he said, we have to win the battle at the line of scrimmage with our defensive line, and they are doing that. I mean, they're playing very well. I mean, the linebackers are filling the gaps. The defensive line is stout. I really think moving Cullen Jenkins to the starting right defensive end has been a big thing for this Packer defense.
And he helped create that last turnover, 3 of them. Already 2 interceptions and a fumbled snap, and it's 2nd down and 8 at the 12-yard line. Benson. That'll be a first down. When you look at Chicago now, they're off next week. So here's what's going to happen in that first playoff game. They won't meet Philadelphia. They can't. Philadelphia's the 3rd seed. If the Giants beat Philadelphia next week, the Giants come here. If Philly wins that game, then the winner of the Dallas-Seattle game comes to Chicago. And there it is. Chicago will face the lowest seeded team, so the Giants would be 6. Philly can't come here. New Orleans has the other bye. And this is Benson. And Benson providing a big spark, and the crowd gets into it again. Out to the 40-yard line he goes, and Benson has already carried the ball 7 times for 73 yards. That's an 18-yard gain there.
Yeah, I've always felt that the best friend of a quarterback is a good running back or a good running game. Rex Grossman is struggling. He needs something to get him out of this. He needs something to give him some confidence. He's really not playing nor throwing with a lot of confidence, and sometimes you just have to start moving the ball, getting some first downs, then you can go play action pass and get some completion.
Benson again. Swinging to the outside, but couldn't get around the corner. Collins comes up from the safety spot after Papinga couldn't knock him down, and it's a gain of a couple. 2nd down and 8. And there goes Collins limping off.
I was just going to say, Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator of the Bears, is kind of taking the ball out of Grossman's hands here and just saying, okay, let's just calm down a little. Let's just run the ball, see if we can get something going.
Trying to get the whole town to calm down as well. 2nd down and 8, the ball at the 41-yard line. Sorry, Bigby comes in for Collins. Great protection off the fake, but the secondary does its job, and then Grossman under pressure, the pass is incomplete. So it's funny because you've got a depleted secondary with Collins coming out, Bigby coming in, but they did their job, and then Corey Williams put the heat on Grossman, and the pass thrown away. 3rd and 8.
You know, the one thing Rex Grossman does that I don't like, and I don't think he likes it either, he backs up too much. You know, like when you go play action pass, when you start to get pressure, you have to step up. You see how he goes there? Now watch him go backwards. You really can't throw going backwards, and he doesn't get himself in position. When he starts to scramble, he'll scramble and be going backwards rather than getting his shoulders squared where he can be going upfield.
3rd and 8.
There he stepped.
Yeah, stepped into it. Stepped into the pressure that time. Stepped right into Corey Williams.
Right, and I knew, we're talking about the notes that he had, and that's one of his notes is to step up. So he probably thought the last play, okay, I step back now, I want to step up. And again, in football, when you're a quarterback, everything has to be instinct. You can't predetermine something. And I think here he predetermined that he's going to step up. And if you saw the pass rusher, I mean, he didn't really have much of a chance, but I think he predetermined that he was going to step up.
Grossman is 2 out of 11 for 33 yards. Maynard to punt. Fielded at the 20-yard line. Woodson with a good run back, and Rasheed Davis finally bounces him into the Packer bench. At about the 44-yard line, we check in with Andrea.
Well, there's so much talk about Brett Favre's future, but what about the way the organization has prepared for the possibility of his retirement? I was talking to Andrew Brandt, the vice president of player finance for the Packers, before the game. He said that as an organization, they are prepared for his retirement. He's got 4 more years left on his contract. He's due to make $11 million next season. But if he retires, it will only cost them about $1.4 million in terms of a salary cap hit. So really no financial implications if he does choose to retire.
Of course, the big question is who takes over? Would it be Aaron Rodgers, who they drafted a couple of years ago and got hurt this year? Or somebody else? Favre. Caught. That's Ruvel Martin. And Martin having a nice night, takes it to the 39-yard line of the Chicago Bears, and Martin has now caught 5 passes for 100 yards, 18 here.
You know, if you just take Grossman's last play and compare it to this play here with Brett Favre, you see how he can move up, still look upfield, and find the guy? I mean, he can pump, and he has such a big, strong hand that he can pump, bring the ball back, and still make the play. I mean, there is a big difference. You look at Grossman's last play and that play there with Brett Favre.
Green tackled in the backfield. Hunter Hillenmeyer makes the stop.
You know, one thing Andrea was talking about the salary cap and stuff of the Green Bay Packers. I think they better get some help offensively. You know, if you look where they spent their money last year, they went out and free agent and they got Charles Woodson. They got Ryan Pickett, the defensive tackle, and of course the #1 draft choice was linebacker A.J. Hawk. So, you know, they didn't surround the quarterback or the offense with a lot of players. They spent their money on defense.
Inside handoff, Green. Stop for no gain. That's Alfonso Boone making the tackle. And it will be 3rd down and 10 as we'll tick down to the 2-minute warning. Chicago down by 13, and the Green Bay Packers trying to square their record. They would do that with a victory tonight and wind up with a mark of 8-8. 2 minutes left, opening half. Soldier Field, 13-0 Green Bay. Bob and the gang in New York, the Toyota halftime show coming up. Looking back at, and it was a wild week 17, final week of the season. Wild card matchups to be previewed on the Toyota halftime show coming up shortly. 3rd down and 11 now. 2 minutes to go to the half at the 40-yard line.
There's their big pass rusher, Mark Anderson.
Rookie at Alabama. They take him out of the play, and then Favre converts, and that's Holiday having a holiday on this New Year's Eve because he has now caught 3 passes for 63 yards, 15 yards there.
I would think on 3rd down they'd better start getting some pressure up the middle. I mean, they're giving Brett Favre that middle where he can just step up and move around and buy time to let his receivers get open. And again, those 2 tackles on 3rd down are playing outside, and they're giving them that middle to run up in and to find a pretty big passing lane here.
Favre 12 out of 23, 198 yards. Green to the 22-yard line. Tackled by Alex Brown. Timeout taken here. Packers.
30 seconds. 2, please.
Keep the change from Bank of America.
There you go. Enjoy the show.
Each time you make a purchase with your Bank of America Visa check card, we not only round up the amount to the next dollar and transfer your change from your checking to your savings account, we also match your savings for the first 3 months and continue matching 5% thereafter. Up to $250, which means there's an easy way to save right at your fingertips. Open a checking account and keep the change, only from Bank of America.
There's that Bear defense, 15 points per game allowed, 3rd best in the league. 288 and change yards allowed, 5th in the league. And this is the first team defense. Ron Rivera, the defensive coordinator, that Green Bay pretty much shredding here in the opening half. 229 total yards for the Packers.
Yeah, and Lovie Smith said, you know, they wanted to get ready for the playoffs in this game. And as you say, he's playing his regulars, and they're kind of getting shredded by Green Bay.
2nd down and 7 at the 22-yard line. Favre to Green, gets a block, cuts back inside, and Amon Green looking as good as ever. Will pick up a 1st down before he is forced out at about the 11.
It looks like he's running angry there. You know, I was talking about Mark Anderson, the pass rusher, and you're going to see him. He's right here. Now, that's when you always want to throw the screen to, is that best pass rusher. That guy that's really going to take off, get up the field, go after the quarterback. You just invite him up and then throw the ball underneath. I was impressed the way Amon Green finished that run off.
Packers throw a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage. In fact, the most in the league this season. 1st and 10.
I'm sure they throw more screen passes than anyone in the NFL.
Yep. Favre throws to the end zone, and Incomplete, intended for Donald Driver, covered there by Nathan Vasher with 65 seconds remaining in the half. Favre closing in on Dan Marino. The only question as to whether he will pass from Marino for career touchdown passes is, does he play next year?
You know, in talking to Brett last night, he said there are two reasons that he wouldn't come back. He wouldn't come back for stats, or he wouldn't come back for money. And that wouldn't be part of his decision.
He is 6 behind Marino at 420. Brett with 414, including one tonight. Now, Morency to the 7-yard line. Ironically, on the other side of that ledger, 4 more interceptions would tie him with George Blanda for the most in that category. That's what happens when you've been around that long. Timeout.
We've come to Europe in search of answers. How was an entire city built on water? How could one man have given us the David and the Sistine Chapel? But more importantly, do those come in my size?
This isn't a vacation, it's an adventure. Find out how to create yours at RoyalCaribbean.com and get out there.
You know, here's where you need the tight end, and Bubba Franks isn't the Bubba Franks of old. Look from 2000, 2004, 28 TD. 2005, 2006, 1 TD. So to me, when you look at their problems in this area of the field, I always go right there first, the tight end position.
3rd down and 7.
Now the old Bubba Franks, you would have known on this play the ball was going to go to him.
4-man line, 4-man rush. Bart has that deflected, and it's incomplete. So he went over the middle. He tried to get it to Franks. Brett holds his head. 4th down.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you see, Bubba Franks is right here. That's who he's going to. But Brian Urlacher, who I was talking about, you know, such a good pass defender, was just sitting right there in the middle and waiting for him. Looked like a Goonlier knocked that ball down there.
He did. Urlacher almost with the pick. Dave Rayner missed a 32-yarder and missed an extra point. So anything can happen. 26 yards out. That one's good. Officially 25 for Rayner with 49 ticks remaining in the half. 16-0 Green Bay. Well, in Chicago a few weeks ago, Grossman had a game in which his quarterback rating was 1.3, and everybody made a big deal of that. That's his rating tonight. Yikes.
You know, and I'm sure that's what all these fans are thinking right now. And you know, if the fans think that, it's okay, but you can't have your teammates thinking that. And that's the thing that, you know, that he has to have the confidence in himself, and his teammates have to have the confidence in him. And this is big going into the playoffs. And I don't feel, even watching him in practice the other day and talking to him, I didn't feel that he was a real confident player. And again, you know, that can come and go. As you know, playing golf, it's a lot like that. When you got everything and you think you got it, and then boom, you go out there and it's not there. And I think that happens sometimes to Rex Grossman.
Day to day. Great beginning of the season. Very rough middle. Appeared to have things back in pretty good order over the past 3 weeks. But now tonight, and now the question is, we're going to see Greasy at some point tonight. I mean, that was preordained by Lovie Smith. The question is when. Do you leave Grossman in longer in the 3rd period to try to get him some confidence back?
No, I think that, you know, he was talking about putting Brian Greasy in, you know, towards the end of the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter. And I think just knowing Lovie Smith, he'll stay with his plan.
Kickoff. Devin Hester. And good coverage on Hester. They bounce him out at the 27-yard line. We're talking about Brett Favre before, and closing in on Marino. He'll catch Dan for touchdown passes if he comes back. Closing in on Blanda for most interceptions. You know, but you think about it. If you're around long enough to throw the most interceptions, you're pretty good. I mean, I go back to baseball, John. The winningest pitcher of all time, Cy Young, 511 wins. The losingest pitcher of all time, Cy Young, 315 losses.
Yeah, if you stay around, like Brett Favre says, you know, you're going to have a cycle and you're going to have everything. You're going to have a lot of friends and you're going to have some friends and then you're going to have no friends on the team.
Oh, and that's tipped and it's intercepted by Patrick Dendy, and he's going to run that back for a touchdown. And then some pushing and shoving in midfield. And this has been about as forgettable a half as a team can have at any point in the season. Forget about a meaningless game. That's a 30-yard interception return for a touchdown.
It looked like Corey Williams got a hand on that one. Patrick Dendy is the nickel back. What's right here is Rex Grossman. I mean, he does have a problem with that. He does get a lot of tip balls because, you know, he's a shorter receiver. He has to find the lanes. That time, Corey Williams was in the lane.
Corey Williams, a force. Some of the crowd chanting, "Greasy, greasy." The extra point is good. I mean, it's a weird deal. You're in a town where at worst you're going to be 13-3. You're the #1 seed, and you got all of this consternation going on.
Well, you know, I've been here all week, and all the talk is about the Bears winning the Super Bowl. And it's like nothing else will be acceptable. It's not, you know, the Bears beating the Packers tonight or the Bears winning the first playoff. It's winning a playoff, winning a championship game, and then winning the Super Bowl. And that is a lot of pressure. You look at Rex Grossman tonight and the problems that he's had. The interceptions, fumble a snap, another interception as he gets hit. You know, going backwards there. That's the part that I don't like, going backwards, putting the ball down. I mean, some of it is bad read, some of it is forcing, and some of it is just terrible fundamentals. The guy to his right that he was just talking to was Wade Wilson, remember, the old quarterback, and he's a quarterback coach. And I'm sure they're just hoping right there, just calm down a little, just get something going. I think they tried to get him something going with the running game, and then I think came back and threw an interception, so that didn't work. But sometimes you play yourself into these things, and you have to play yourself out of it.
Rainer's kickoff taken at the goal line. This is Rasheed Davis who's going to run it back, not Hester this time. And Davis takes it back out to the 27-yard line with 26 seconds remaining in the half.
Yeah, like you say, you don't want to be 13-2 and come into the last game on New Year's Eve and have your offense being booed.
You go into the playoffs, you're the #1 seed, and that's the face of, I don't want to say the average fan, but a lot of fans.
I think it's probably the average fan here in Chicago. And every place, they always think that the backup quarterback is the guy that's the better guy anyway.
Well, that's the end of about as ugly a half as a team can have. Unfortunately for them, the game doesn't mean anything.
And they kind of have played that way, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Meanwhile, Green Bay on a roll. Favre having a great night. He's thrown for 209 yards. And the Packers lead by a score of 23-0. Bob and the gang from New York. So we have a halftime show coming up on the other side of this break.
Brought to you by Toyota, moving forward.
With Sterling, Jerome, and Chris, I'm Bob, and let's get right to the playoff picture. In the AFC, the day started with 6 teams still alive for the 2 wild card spots. By the end of the day, those wild cards had been determined. The first part was easy. The Jets beat the Raiders, and so they were in. Now let's see how the rest of it went down, beginning at Tennessee. Remember last year when Bill Belichick let Doug Flutie drop kick an extra point to finish off his career? Well, he's got Vinny Testaverde as his backup quarterback now, and as they put the finishing touches on the win at Tennessee, Testaverde, at age 43, hits 35-year-old Troy Brown for the touchdown. New England wins it, and Tennessee is eliminated with the loss.
In Cincinnati, if the Bengals win, they're in. Shane Graham with a 39-yard field goal just before the end of regulation, misses it, and that's going to set up this in overtime. Yes, a pass-down mascot. And Santonio Holmes, the Ohio State Buckeye, comes back to Cincinnati to knock out the Cincinnati Bengals. They are eliminated, and Ben Roethlisberger Roethlisberger. Finally, something to celebrate on this year.
Oh, those two losses, first at Denver and then this one at home to Pittsburgh to knock out Marvin Lewis's team. The loser between Kansas City and Jacksonville was going to be out. Larry Johnson made sure it wasn't the Chiefs. 138 yards and 3 TDs. When it was over, Herman Edwards glancing at the scoreboard saying, come on, 49ers, give me some help.
Because if the Denver Broncos win, they're in. Late in the fourth quarter, Jay Cutler is going to find Tony Scheffler for the 9-yard touchdown, tying this thing at 23-23 in overtime, though. Alex Smith, who is getting better each week, finds Brian Gilmore, and that is going to set up Joe Nedney from 36 yards out for the game winner. And at home, the Denver Broncos eliminated.
Go figure. All right, so the Titans, the Bengals, the Jaguars, and then the Broncos all disappear from the playoff picture. The Jets and the Chiefs are in. Also today, the Chargers and Ravens both won to lock up the numbers 1 and 2 seeds, respectively. So now let's take a look at the wild card matchups. On Saturday here on NBC, Kansas City will travel to Indy. That game will begin at 4:30 Eastern Time. And on Sunday in the AFC, the Jets and Patriots will do battle for the 3rd time this season. The Jets won 1 game all this year against a team with a winning record. That happened to be Week 10 against the Patriots. Their playoff matchup, of course, will be in New England, as the Patriots are the number 4 seed, so they have home field in the first round. Mr. Sharp, a couple of weeks ago, to much derision all around, you boldly declared the Bengals and the Broncos would each miss the playoffs. You, sir, wear the genius robe tonight.
Well, Bob, all you got to do is look at the ability to defend home field. Both the Broncos and the Cincinnati Bengals lost today. They're 4-4 at home on the season. The Kansas City Chiefs, 6-2 at home.
But they're not going to be at home in the playoffs. They're going to Indianapolis, and I don't believe they have enough offense to win in that game. They're going to need to stop that Indianapolis offense. I don't think they can do it enough.
Yeah, but can the Indianapolis Colts defense stop Larry Johnson, one of the biggest, most powerful backs in the league? I don't know.
Come to think of it, Sterling, I don't want you to don the genius robe because it would cover up that suit.
Exactly.
And America demands that suit on New Year's Eve. When we come back, we take a look at the NFC as the Toyota halftime show returns in less than a minute. The results are in from our Player of the Day poll, and Tiki Barber's performance from last night stands up. Barber extends his career by leading the Giants into the playoffs, and his slightly early retirement gift from us is the much-coveted Golden Peacock. In Dallas, the Cowboys ran afoul of the lowly Detroit Lions, and so their playoff position was not improved. No, not at all. In the fourth quarter, Tony Romo, look at this. Fumbles, shows presence of mind, some athletic ability, shot-put pass to T.O. that keeps the drive alive, and 2 plays later, Romo will go up top to Owens for the 56-yard touchdown, and Dallas reclaims the lead 31-30 in the fourth quarter, but the Lions came to put up a fight, and ultimately they came to win. John Kitna playing perhaps the best game of his life. His 4th touchdown pass of the day, this one to Mike Williams for 21 yards, puts them up 36-31. Bill Parcells can barely bear to look. They lost it 39-31 with Romo being tackled at the 2 on 4th down in the last minute. So here's how things look in the NFC. The Bears and the Saints have the byes, and the matchups next weekend are as follows. The Cowboys will visit the Seahawks on Saturday. That'll be in prime time on NBC. And the Eagles will host the Giants on Sunday. 3 teams from the NFC East are in. The first time 3 teams from one division have made the postseason since the NFL realigned in 2002. All right, tonight's game from Soldier Field has no effect on the playoff matchups and seedings, but it certainly has an effect on the mindset of the Bears and their fans. Rex Grossman, 3 interceptions and a fumble in the first half.
He would be on the bench. I would play Brian Greasy in the second half, and if he played well, he would be my starter in the playoff game. Simple as that.
You think Favre is coming back next year?
Well, I think it's going to be a tough decision. I think if Green Bay can give him some players, he'll come back, but I really don't think he's going to come back next year.
No. No.
That'll do it. You get extra points for being concise. So, by way of review, next Saturday on NBC, we'll start it off in the studio at 4 p.m. Eastern, followed by the 2 wildcard matchups. The Chiefs are in Indy with kickoff at 4:30. By the way, Chris Collinsworth will be calling that game alongside Tom Hammond. And then in Seattle, it's the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Al and John have the call there. It's Wildcard Saturday on NBC. Back now to Chicago for the second half after this. Happy New Year, everybody.
This has been the Toyota Halftime Show, brought to you by Toyota, moving forward.
And no question about his performance tonight as we come back to Soldier Field in Chicago. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Andrea Kramer. Favre 13 of 26 for 209 yards and a touchdown. A 23-0 Green Bay lead, and Brian Griese is going to be the Chicago quarterback when we start the third quarter.
You know, and I don't think that's the type of thing that you want to have in your last regular season game going into the playoffs.
Hester will take it at the 13-yard line. And taken down in the open field. Good coverage tonight by Green Bay. Bush makes the tackle. We check in with Andrea.
Well, the plan had been to play Rex Grossman into the third quarter, but after 4 first-half turnovers, that changed for Lovie Smith. He decided to put Brian Griese in because he said we had to do something. We were sticking the place up. He said there's no way that he could put Grossman back in. And also, as the players were coming off the field, one of them said, hey, better now than in 2 weeks.
At the 32-yard line, they start here with Jones. Grossman, of course, had a first half to forget with a quarterback rating of 0. 2 out of 12, 3 interceptions and a fumble. Meanwhile, Brian Griese has thrown more passes than any active player who has never appeared in a postseason game.
You know, and the thing with Grossman, I mean, they start their playoffs a week from this weekend, and it's tough to say, oh, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
And that pass is incomplete at the feet of Clark. I mean, the question will become if Griese lights it up here in the second half. I know Lovie wants to stay with Grossman, but what if Griese has a phenomenal second half?
I think you still stay with Grossman. I mean, that would be easier, but you have a quick hook, and I think that's what he would do. You know that Brian Griese can play. I mean, if he proves it now, and if he plays well now, you know that he can play with your team. So you start Grossman because then you could bring Griese in. If you start Griese, it would be tough to bring Grossman in.
3rd down and 7. Griese under pressure. Well, it looks like the first half, and he gets sacked back at the 25-yard line. Corey Williams having a big night. He's been all over the place. A 6th-round draft choice in 04. Had 6 sacks coming into the game tonight. Picks up 1 here.
You know, that was what Mike McCarthy was saying. If these front 4 guys, we don't blitz a lot. These front 4 have to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. And I'll say this Green Bay Packer defense has won the line of scrimmage battle.
A quick 3 and out. Brad Maynard to punt. Charles Woodson collects it at the 20. And he's taken down after a 2-yard run back by Brendan Ayanbadejo, who will be going to the Pro Bowl as a special teamer. Back comes Favre, 23-0 Pack. Steve, we can have that. We start the diets tomorrow. That looks great.
Right, you can't go in there. Have you ever been in the old Billy Goat?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't go in there and order a hamburger. You say, give me a hamburger. No, cheeseburger. And that's for real. I mean, that's not a joke. I mean, that was years ago it was a Saturday Night Live thing, but that's where they got it from, and it's a true deal.
So the Packers' largest halftime lead against the Bears. And all the games played in Chicago. These two teams first met back in 1921. They played in Soldier Field here in the 20s, and then the Bears actually moved out of here into Wrigley Field until 1970. The numbers through the first half, and of course the big one is right here, the turnovers, the 3 picks and the 1 fumble. Second down and 7. And that pass is caught just shy of a first down by Donald Driver. It'll be 3rd and 1.
I was talking earlier about the Bear defensive line, and you see how wide they play those defensive tackles on the guard, and they just gave Brett Favre that middle, not only to step up in like this, but to buy some time and wait and to throw. You see, they just get those guys turned out, and then they take advantage of them with the shovel pass and the pass protection.
Green picks up the first down, and the middle is a place that Favre loves to throw to, and Donald Driver lives over the middle, among others. Driver, one of those wide receivers that you can almost find him, 3/4 of the time making his catches over the middle.
Well, they move him around and they get him in different places. He'll be outside right, he'll be outside left, he'll be in the slot, and then, as you say, he ends up in the middle a lot.
Only Steven Jackson has caught more passes, a percentage of passes over the middle, and he's a running back. Morency, the backup to Amon Green, who gives Green a rest from time to time, picks up a couple.
I think there's another reason for that, and I think that's Brett Favre and buying time. That if you do buy some time by moving in the pocket, running a little, stepping up the way he's doing, you will find guys open in the middle more than you will find them open outside.
2nd down and 9 at the 36.
That was an audible. It was either going to be a run left or it was going to be a pass.
Ball start. Offense on 65. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Mark Hauscher.
See, because anytime the tailback steps up, he's either going to run to the short side or he's going to step up to pass protection. That looked like it was going to be a bare blitz, so he was probably stepping up for pass protection.
That is the first assessed penalty of the game. We've had a couple of flags tonight, either waved off or declined. That's the first assessed penalty of the night, period.
Here's the old double cadence. He started the cadence, made him declare it, and then started another cadence.
2nd and 15, and that pass is incomplete for Donald Lee. And it'll be 3rd down. Brett is so collegial. I mean, he congratulates Urlacher when he knocks him down. He's always, just that interaction with the defense.
Well, he's always talked to the opponents more than any other player. And it's usually funny things, good things. It's not, anything where he's challenging anyone. He's just telling them how good they are, those kinds of things.
And the mutual respect is, it's universal around the league.
Let's see if those tackles stay outside now or if they blitz. I think that would be the answer, is to blitz, and that's what they're doing.
Favre gets it away in a hurry, and it's off the hands of Ruvell Martin and incomplete.
You see, they knew that they were having that problem with those tackles being outside and Brett Favre stepping up. So what they did on that play, when they got the 3rd down, they just come over here and you see them come up and they're just going to blitz. So they bring the tackles inside, bring Urlacher up the middle, bring the outside guy from the outside.
The 2 receivers in the same spot there. Francis was the other, a rookie out of Texas El Paso. Lions punt. Hester from the 28, and they've done a great job pinning him tonight, and then a flag comes in on the return.
One of the reasons I think Hester may not be as effective as he was before is he's playing defense now, and he's a nickel defensive back. And when you go, from a 3rd down defensive back to a punt returner, you're not as fresh, obviously.
Receiving team number 94. 10-yard penalty. Chicago keeps the ball. 1st down.
And the reason for that is the injury to Charles Tillman, who they do expect to have back for the playoffs in 2 weeks. 23-0 Green Bay. This week right here on NBC. It was 50 degrees at the start of the game tonight. New Year's Eve in Chicago, down into the mid-40s right now. 1st and 10. Greasy at quarterback from the 18-yard line. Jones swings to the outside. A little stiff arm on Collins there. But he's out of bounds after he's forced out just about the line of scrimmage. Daughter of George Hallis right there, Virginia McCaskey. Owner of the Chicago Bears, son Mike McCaskey, and picture of father and daughter. And Hallis, the coach of the team, the legendary coach, 40 years. It's just amazing how it was broken up though into 4 10-year segments. It's like he just needed a rest every decade. He rested for a while, and then he came back and coached for another 10.
You're right. It was one of those things, he couldn't live with it, couldn't live without it, but he had the advantage of having the best coaching job in football. He and Paul Brown had the, of all time, because they were the coach and the owner. Yes. And you can't beat that.
That's right.
If you don't like to go, I'll go be owner. Yep. If you don't like owner, I'll go be coach.
Tough to fire the coach. There's a holding call right here on John T. Makes it 1st and 19. Jones at the 10. In fact, we have George Hallis sound on tape right here.
Hold the ball, hold the ball, hold the ball, hold the ball. Let's see the way you carry that ball. That's right. As long as you get in that, they can knock that thing. That's the most important thing right there. We got a fullback by the name of Ducati, and he just set a record of 13 fumbles. I showed him this the next season. He didn't have one.
That's the same thing Tom Coughlin showed Tiki Barber.
Right, on 2nd and 18. That pass is caught by Bernard Berry, and except Barber took it a step farther now. Barber holds the ball vertically.
Yeah, high and tight. This is what the Bears needed. This is what Brian Griese needed. You see him here. He comes back, has a good pocket there, makes a little move up to the inside, doesn't go back, steps up, and finds Bernard Berrien out there on the sideline. The Bears just have to get something going. I know, that okay, they already have home field throughout, everything's clinched, and maybe it's a meaningless game, but I don't believe there's anything like a meaningless game.
3rd and 1, Griese getting chased, and then banged down by Collins after he was nearly sacked by Campman. So they went from 2nd and 18 to 3rd and 1, and now it's 4th down.
Brian Griese was saying that, that I haven't played, so I'm going to be rusty. He said, but I don't have any time to knock the rust off, so he knows that. I mean, he got prepared for this. He knew that he was going to play in this game. He didn't know exactly when or how much, but he said that, my time to get the rust off is going to be a very, very short time.
Bears are 0 for 8, and there's a fake, and the pass by Maynard, wide open, making the catch and picking up the first down and a lot more, and then fumbling it is Adrian Peterson, who is a running back, and I think Chicago has recovered. That was the initial indication from one of the officials. So Peterson was able to make the catch, pick up a lot of yards, and they do recover the fumble.
Sometimes a coach just has to make something happen. That you just can't go on like this. I mean, everything is against you. Everything is down. And you'll see Peterson, he is the wing right here. And you see, he just goes straight up the field. Brad Maynard goes and fakes, and there is no one in that Packer middle.
And on top of that, they recover the fumble. There's a face mask penalty on Woodson that will tack on even more yardage. And Maynard is 4 out of 6 in his career as a passer.
You always worry about that a guy is so wide open, you're not going to get the ball to him. That's what Maynard had to be thinking. And this is one of the things, and we talked about the Bears, we know about their offense, their defense, but they have great special teams, and they always make big plays in special teams.
And Peterson probably isn't a better number 3 running back in the league. He's the kind of guy that would definitely be number 2 on a lot of teams, and maybe even share time with as a split 1 with some others.
Right. Brian Griese said, "Hey, this is tough enough. I can't play with 10. Give me that 11th guy."
At the 21-yard line on 1st down. It's Jones to the 17-yard line.
One of the things about putting Brian Griese in now, Al, when we talked to Lovie Smith the other day, he said, I'm going to put him in towards the end of the 3rd quarter, and then he changed his mind, but he didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell any of the players how much he was going to play him. He didn't tell the assistant coaches how much he was going to play guys. So this isn't something that, Rex Grossman didn't know how long he was going to play. Brian Griese didn't know exactly when he was going to go in.
He wanted the players to come out with the mindset they were going to play a whole game. And Jones gets banged out of bounds by Barnett and Popinga at the 17-yard line.
I like that fake punt, though, by Lovie Smith. That was a good decision because the Bears really have been sleepwalking out here. I mean, they've been getting, whipped defensively. They've been getting whipped offensively, special teams, and they had to do something. I remember Jimmy Johnson used to call, trick plays in the kicking game momentum changes. And that was a momentum changer for the Bears.
3rd down and 6 at the 17-yard line. Greasy, good protection, and then throws it right into the hands of A.J. Hawk, the #1 draft choice, the linebacker out of Ohio State, having a fine rookie season, and he picks Greasy off to end that drive.
There's a momentum changer, but not for long.
Brett Favre, now 37 years old, and remember, he was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons in 1991. Ron Wolf at that time was with the Jets. He was trying to get into a position to draft him for New York. Couldn't. Ron moved to Green Bay, and one of the first things he did was figure out a way to make a trade with Atlanta to get him to Green Bay. Hello.
Jets college coach recommended him, and Ron Wolf went back and looked at him in his junior year.
That pass is incomplete. Nathan Vasher with the coverage in the near pick.
You know, he's not as good on the timing routes like that one is as he is on those ones that are kind of half scramble, you know, where he moves a little, gets some time and hits someone in the middle. You see, Donald Driver was up like 7 yards going to the inside, and that was a poor throw. That ball was thrown behind him. But Brett Favre right now isn't as good at those kind of passes as he is at the movement and scramble type passes.
Second down and 10 from the 22-yard line. Play clock at 2 on the snap. And then that pass is caught near the sideline by Carlisle Holiday. And that's good for a gain of 6. In this rivalry, most games played. Doug Buffone, the Bear linebacker in the 60s and 70s. Forrest Gregg played in 28 of these games. Ray Nitschke, 29. Bart Starr in 30 games between the Bears and the Packers, and Brett Favre equaling that. And in this stadium, he's 11-2. And then he played one game in Champaign when the Bears had to play one season there in 2002, and they refurbished this place, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Ruvell Martin.
Who do you think has seen more of those games than anyone, those Green Bay Packer, Chicago Bear games?
Well, we know the answer, and not only has he seen a few games, I mean, some guys have played in 30. He has seen, like, I think 122?
Yeah, Lee Remmel.
Lee Remmel, the public relations emeritus and historian for the Green Bay Packers. John Ryan, and that is muffed by Hester, but covered up by the Bears at the 32-yard line. One of the grand men in the game. It's been a pleasure to know him through the years. There is Lee Remmel. He's only seen 122 of these. Amazing.
I don't believe in rebuilding and things like that. I'm looking for us to make that move right away, to beat Green Bay, to win the division, and to ultimately win that world championship right away. And that's what I'm going to talk to them about, is that situation right there that I see happening to us quickly.
And all Bears fans said amen when Lovey got the job and beat the Packers, because the Packers had beaten the Bears like a drum for a decade. And of course, that coincided with the arrival of Brett Favre.
And when Lovie Smith came into this game, he wanted to keep that streak going. You know, they've dominated the division. They didn't lose a division game this year, and that was big to him. I mean, he has goals, and one of his goals is, you know, to beat the Green Bay Packers, to dominate your division, to go undefeated in your division, and then obviously get in the playoffs, win in the playoffs, and eventually win a Super Bowl.
You know, he's overlooked. We're always talking about the coach of the year. And I guess, you know, when the expectations are high and you live up to them, nobody expected the Bears necessarily to win 13 or 14 games, but they expected them to be a good team after being the #2 seed. You tend to overlook a guy who all he does is live up to expectations and look to the guys who exceed them, a la people like Sean Payton.
I've always had a lot of respect for Lovie Smith. I mean, not only, you know, here in the job that he's done with the Chicago Bears, but when he was with the Rams and defensive coordinator, and you know, he's always been a very sound, fundamental, solid coach.
Mohammed made the catch. The penalty flag comes in.
Illegal formation. Offense. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Well, with Lovey now, you know, when you look at the 6 teams going to the playoffs in the NFC, this is the only team, I think at the moment, where if they don't win the Super Bowl, everybody's going to be very disappointed. I don't care what you say about New Orleans. You know, you're going to get into the playoffs. Oh, yeah, you know, we don't want to just be here. But no matter what happens to the Saints, phenomenal story. Philadelphia, how in the world did they pull that off with Garcia? Nobody expected that after going 5 and 6. The pass to the outside is batted by Harris and incomplete. Seattle's had kind of an up and down year. I know they're coming off a Super Bowl season, but they're kind of like a team right now that's mysterious. Dallas, all of a sudden, they've been leaking oil down the stretch, and the Giants lose 6 out of 8. So all of these other teams, John, are going in. Yeah, of course you want to win the Super Bowl, but this will be the only team that if they don't win it, everybody's going to say, uh-oh,
yeah,
bad year.
I was saying earlier that I've been here all week, and that's all anyone is talking about. You know, the Bears and jumping right to the Super Bowl. I mean, they're not, you know, so much interested in this game or even a playoff game or a championship game. And if they don't, it's not going to be a successful year in their mind.
3rd down and 10, Greasy. And that's caught. Rasheed Davis makes the catch. Got position on Patrick Dendy, and that will move the chains.
Yeah, Brian Greasy there looked a little like Brett Favre. When you know, anytime you move in the pocket, you buy time for your receivers. And you let them get open on those deep outs and those deeper patterns because, again, the timing routes, the 3-step drop, that's all going to be shorter stuff. If you're going to throw those deeper outs and those deeper ends, the quarterback has to move a little in the pocket before he throws it.
That's the Bears' first 3rd down conversion of the night. Greasy stepping up off the play fake, and then the pass is incomplete. Collins and Woodson covering Varian on the play. We go to Andrea.
Well, any discussion of Lovie Smith at this point has to involve his contract, which expires after next season. They had the opportunity, the Bears, to extend his contract in the offseason, but team president Ted Phillips told me that he wanted to see more from Lovie. He said it had nothing to do with him not being a quality head coach. It was about being the right fit between himself, Lovie, and general manager Jerry Angelo. He came to the conclusion that Lovie had earned a new deal regardless of what he does in the playoffs, which could be portent of things to come, considering what's going on tonight. But they are initiating discussions on a new deal with Lovie's agent. Phillips said he would like a longer-term deal, maybe 5 years or more, and maybe they might start talking next week.
I would expect Lovie Smith, who's already said, he said, look, I want to end my career as the coach of the Chicago Bears, and I'd be stunned if they weren't able to come to a deal.
No, I'd be stunned too, and I'm stunned that they say that we have to see how he fits. I mean, he fits very well. I mean, he's a coach. He's a strong coach. He has great ideas. He knows how to get players to play. He's organized. He has everything you need, and I don't know fit in with these guys. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I know that he ought to be the coach here for a long time.
After Benson picks up a 1st down, the pass is tipped and incomplete.
One of the things that the Bears said coming into this game is that Desmond Clark has to have a big game. That they want to get the ball to him, and they got to get him started early, and all those things. And I think this could be the first pass they've thrown to him. And the Packers have done a good job of taking him away in the middle. That was Papinga there, just kind of waiting for that in. And then even Brian Greasy said, of all the guys, he said, the one that I know best is Desmond Clark because I played with him at Denver.
2nd down and 10. Greasy was with Denver for 5 years. Here's Jones on a screen that goes nowhere. One thing about Brian, he's been around 5 years in Denver, then to Miami for 1 season, to Tampa Bay for 2. Of course, the son of the Hall of Famer, Bob Greasy. And Brian was the guy who had to succeed Elway, so you had those expectations. And, he's had a nice career, but as we said before, has not played in a postseason game in the 8 years in the league.
And he was telling me the other day how tough this is being a backup and, getting ready every week to play and then not play and then have to come back and get ready again the next week and not play. He said it's been a very frustrating year for him.
3rd and 13. And that pass is knocked away And that is Nick Collins, who has been all over the field tonight.
Yeah, Greasy didn't get a lot on that ball, and it stayed in the air too long. And if you leave a ball in the air that long, these safeties are going to get it. You see Collins is a deep guy here, and you see he's just sitting back there, and he's been doing a great job of it tonight, just sitting back there, reading the quarterback, watching his eyes, watching his movement, and then jumping on it.
Maynard to punt after he threw a pass the last time he went back to punt, and this one doesn't go very far. In fact, they'll mark it out of bounds at about the 26-yard line.
There were several times last year in the huddle, several times this year where I was standing in the huddle, TV timeout, waiting for the play, and looking around and going, what happened? You know, where did everyone go? Coaches, players, everybody I played with.
Well, you get older, and he's 37, and you look at the Packer team, they have 21 guys younger than 25, so where do they all go? Where'd the Frankie Winters go? And
you know, and of course he misses those guys, but you know, as he said later, it's cyclical, and if you stay around a long time, you're going to outlast a lot of people, and then when you outlast him, you don't have friends anymore, and he really doesn't have a friend on this team.
From the 25-yard line, that's Green. I mean, there's so much respect, obviously, and it's so funny because, you know, the young guys come up and they know a little bit about history, but he said a couple of guys even come up to him and say, what was it like in the Ice Bowl? Well, it was 1967.
Right, and they have no idea what he went through and how he played in the early years, and some of them don't remember, you know, his great years, his MVP years and Super Bowl years and all that. When I said friends, I didn't mean that they weren't friends, but I mean that, you know, he doesn't have anyone on the team that he hangs out with.
Morency is going to cut it back, and he's tackled there by Hunter Hillenmeyer. That Ice Bowl game was in 1967. That was a New Year's Eve game, December the 31st, as Green gets some attention to the right eye. Joe Montana played his last ever game on New Year's Eve in 1994, a wild card game for Kansas City against Miami. And the question, of course, is, will this be Brett's last game? Morency is going to be stopped a little short. New Year's Eve, 61 NFL championship, Vince Lombardi's first title, 37-0. The Ice Bowl, they beat the Cowboys to advance to Super Bowl II, where they beat Oakland. Wild card playoff beat the Lions in '94, held Barry Sanders to negative yardage, and beat the Falcons on New Year's Eve in '95. So December 31st, a good day in Packer history.
A lot of good days in Packer history.
Yeah. And this is a flag down and out of bounds as Berrien runs it back. And he stepped out of bounds back at the 25-yard line. So the officials dropped the beanbag there, and instead of having it near midfield, they'll take over at about the 25-yard line. New Year's Eve, and of course, they're an hour ahead of us right now. It's about 10:30 or so in Times Square. The ball will be dropping in 90 minutes. A little less than that right now.
I wonder how many people are there now.
Well, what do they say? I don't know. What's the estimate normally? 1 million, or we'll lose track of. Normally about 1 million is the estimate.
How do you get 1 million people anywhere?
Then you just make it up.
Probably.
It's like ratings. Benson taken down to the line of scrimmage. How do you know if somebody's going to watch a game for 72 minutes or 23?
You know, a guy that's had a heck of a year is Aaron Campman. And you watch him. He's going against Fred Miller right here. He just gets both hands, plays them off, and then comes right down the line. He has 15.5 sacks this year, and he's been
he's one of those blue-collar guys that, you know, has a lot of sacks because he works hard. I mean, he never stops, he never slows up, he just keeps going after the quarterback.
Second and 10, the pass is incomplete. Up to the minute sack leaders in the NFL, and of course this includes today's action. Sean Merriman of San Diego is going to win that crown despite missing the 4 games when he was suspended for violating the steroids policy. Then this Cam and Aaron Schobel, great year for Buffalo. Jason Taylor, a phenomenal season with Miami, and Julius Peppers of the Panthers.
You don't think Campman will get 2 sacks tonight?
Well, he's got 15 minutes and 15 seconds
right,
to do it.
And the Bears have to throw, so what the heck, they could just widen out and tee off.
3rd down and 10. Greasy out in front. Catch is made by Mark Bradley, his first catch of the night, and the Bears finally get on the scoreboard. 75 yards to the second-year wideout out of Oklahoma.
That was the something that the Bears needed. That was the something that Brian Greasy needed. Mark Bradley looked right past Patrick Dendy. Marquette Manuel was also back there, and that's been one of the problems the Packers have had, and one of the things they talked about last night. We can't give up the big play. That's been one of the problems that Manuel has had, getting big plays in behind him. That time, Mark Bradley was wide open. He beat everything.
It's the Bears' longest play of the season. Robbie Gould out of Maynard's hold for the extra point. Gould, the NFC Pro Bowl kicker. Tacks on point number 7. 34 seconds remaining in the 3rd.
Now you're going to see number 43, Patrick Dandy. He is right here. He's the corner now. Now he thinks that he has help from the safety, from Manuel here, but they really they're both beaten here. You see here, what Manuel does is he goes underneath it, and you look at Patrick Dendy, he thinks that he has help inside, and he doesn't, and Mark Bradley just runs right by both of them, and Brian Greasy gets it out there perfectly. That's one of those things that should really never happen. I mean, you have a guy double teamed, you have him inside out, you have him deep, you have him short, and not only does he beat the outside guy, he also beats the inside guy. That was what Brian Greasy was talking about the other day, is I want to get in and play and get some meaningful time and kind of get the rust off this deal, and that's one way to knock the rust off right there.
So 23-7, 34 seconds remaining in the period. Goal to kick off. Morency downs that in the end zone, but you have a flag down back at the 35-yard line.
That would probably be in the area where the kicking team would be offside, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Kick off from the 30.
Now, years ago, kicking teams were jumping offsides about 5 or 6 years ago, and
offside.
Officials never called it or
kicking
watched
team
it.
number 21. 5-yard penalty from the 20-yard line. Green Bay keeps the ball. First down.
And then there was a year where they, started calling it all the time, and then they stopped calling it.
The numbers, and of course, 75 of those 102 for Brian Greasy coming on that last play.
Not a great night for Chicago Bear quarterbacks.
No. Where is Sid Luckman when you need him?
Any conversation about Bear quarterback always goes back to Sid Luckman, doesn't it?
Has to. Great quarterback, and what a great man he was. At the 25-yard line, 1st and 10. Favre throws, and it's behind Donald Driver. I've never told this story on the air. You know, I don't like to necessarily talk about personal stories, but when I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn, Sid Luckman lived down the street. And he would, and you know, you didn't have mini camps and all that stuff in those years. So we'd see him in the off season. We'd be playing punch bowl. I'll never forget, it was one day he came out and played punch bowl with us. And I'm sitting there, I'm like 11 years old going, I can't believe I'm playing punch ball with Sid Luckman.
Well, what was Sid Luckman doing then?
At that time, he was, I think he was still with the Bears. As Green takes it up to the 27. I was probably younger than 11. I think he was toward the end of his career with the Bears, but we were all so excited that Sid Luckman lived down the street. And he could hit it two sewers too.
That's big, but don't you think that, you know, Brett Favre is that kind of guy too,
yes,
that would come in and hit a couple sewers? And
absolutely. If he saw kids playing in the street,
yeah, he would. And he would play the same way that he plays this game.
Yep. End of 3, 1 quarter to go in the 2006 regular season. 23-7 Green Bay. Well, as this season comes in for a landing, we'll be taking off for the playoffs next Saturday on NBC. Doubleheader. We'll start with Kansas City against Indianapolis. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth will have the call. And then our crew will be in Seattle for Dallas against the Seahawks in the second game of the wild card doubleheader next Saturday on NBC. Favre throws. Catch is made by Donald Driver up to the 35-yard line. And, of course, nobody knows the answer. Brett doesn't know the answer. So when somebody says to you they know what he's going to do next year, ask them to go pick the whole card at Santa Anita. As he said last night, I don't know. I'll make the decision. I will have it within the next couple of weeks. And Deanna said to him last night, you know, when Brett said, here we go again, and she said, oh, no.
Yeah, but I think they all enjoy it. I mean, I think, you know, Brett's family enjoys it, and I think he really enjoys it. And like you say, we don't know, and maybe the answer is, you know, maybe that's the answer. We don't know, but if I had to guess, I would guess he's back.
No, it was just so funny because this morning we're saying we think he's going to retire.
No, I know, but I'm just
right.
watching him play, and you know, how can you play this well, and you know, and you got a bad ankle, you're going to have surgery tomorrow, but still play this well, have this much velocity on the ball. I remember thinking the same thing when Roger Clemens retired. I said, how can you throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and retire? Brett Favre throws a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. How can he retire? I don't think he can.
And Clemens still hasn't retired.
No. Oh, he has a couple times. He's come back.
2nd and 10. Favre throws, incomplete. You know, John, I was thinking, and we were talking about this the other day, the quarterbacks and the reasons they leave. I mean, Steve Young and Troy Aikman had to leave prematurely because of concussions. Dan Marino, you know, it was a kind of an unceremonious ending there with Dan and in Miami. Maybe he could have played another year or so. John Elway, of course, went out on the white horse, not only finally winning a Super Bowl, but winning 2 of them.
I remember John Elway before that game telling me that he's retiring because his body tells you. He said, it's your body that tells you, not your mind.
On 3rd and 10, that pass is caught as he finds Carlisle Holiday. And the other thing we were talking about with Favre, which is amazing, since he became the starter in Green Bay, there has never been a sniff of a quarterback controversy. And there have been with a lot of other guys. Montana, Young, even Elway at a certain point. Marino at the end in Miami.
You know, I was saying earlier that, you know, everyone likes the backup quarterback better than the starter. And then I thought, but not at Green Bay. I mean, I've never heard, all those years that Brett Favre's been the starter, I've never heard anyone say, let's put Doug Peterson in.
Never. He's had what's amazing, 19 backup quarterbacks for Brett Favre through the years. Caught by Donald Lee. In fact, speaking about Brett's streak and never having a quarterback controversy, some words from number 4 himself.
Not only did I overcome the physical part of it, but how did I play at a high enough level that they didn't say, you know what, we just had enough, we're playing someone else. And I know there was times where they thought about maybe playing someone, but I was good enough, long enough that they said, you know, we don't even have to worry about that position. And I'm more aware of that now and more appreciative of the things that I've done.
Out of the pocket he comes, and that's Cameron Worrell who will knock him down and get credit for a sack.
You know, we're talking about how, you know, he's going to have surgery tomorrow. And, you know, so, you know, like I said earlier, I think the fact that he's having surgery on his left ankle on New Year's Day, you know, means something. You know, that kind of hints that, you know, he's thinking about coming back.
2nd and 11 at the 33. Favre over the middle. Green to the 27. His backup this year, Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers actually got into a game when New England was blowing them out 35-0, and he got into the game and broke his ankle. Played his college football at Cal. First-round pick, and picked as the successor to Favre. 24th overall 2 years ago, but he gets into a game, and, you know, it just shows you. I mean, here's Brett Favre, who hasn't missed anything since '92, and Rodgers comes into the game and breaks his ankle.
You know, and tonight his receivers have really done a good job. I mean, these young receivers have gotten open, they've caught the ball, and I've really been impressed with the offensive line.
On 3rd and 6, he fires that one behind Donald Driver, and it will be 4th down and 6.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Brett Favre, but his receivers had to get open. Here's Carlisle Holiday, you know, getting open and making catch. Here's Holiday again over the middle. Brett buying time. Here's Donald Driver, you know, catching the ball. So he's spread it around, but his guys have gotten open for him and have made the catches, and his offensive line has done an outstanding job.
46-yard field goal attempt by Rayner, and he's able to draw that one in. So he missed a chip shot earlier, missed an extra point earlier, and that one he draws in to make it 26-7. He's down the Chicago River as 2007 approaches. Green Bay on its way to ending 2006 with 4 consecutive wins, which would make their record 8-8. Nice night for number 4. And that kick is fielded at the 11-yard line by Rasheed Davis. Up to the 32 on NBC. Next Saturday, a doubleheader, wild card doubleheader. The first game is going to be Kansas City at Indianapolis. Chris Collinsworth on your left is going to be calling that game with Tom Hammond. John and I will be doing Seattle against Dallas. And when the day began, Chris, what do you think the chances were you'd be doing the Kansas City game next Saturday?
Not very good. I was cheering pretty hard for America's team, the Cincinnati Bengals, and they did a slow fade in overtime out there. And then it just seemed to fall into their lap. Really, Kansas City was essentially at the bottom of the list as far as the teams that could possibly get into the mix. But the one thing that they had was those wins against the Denver Broncos. And when you got into the divisional matchup, that's what really killed Denver today.
And it's Benson taking the little pass from Greasy and picking up about 17. So you've got Larry Johnson going up against that Indy defense. We also have a flag here on the play, so we'll get the penalty call from Bill Vinovich in a moment. That was a gain of 14 pending the call here.
Don't these referees in these new uniforms, these officials look like basketball officials?
Or bowlers or losers.
Yeah, I don't like it.
During the run, personal foul. Defense number 56. Unnecessary roughness. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
Nick Barnett.
And he has that big old cast on him, too. He could do some damage with that right hand.
There's the AFC now. KC and Indy meeting, and then the Jets meet New England on Sunday. And then San Diego is number 1, so the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC would have to go through San Diego. Baltimore is number 2. So what would your seedings be right now, Chris? Would you have San Diego on top in that conference?
You know, I really, and I think I told you this a little while ago, I really like Baltimore. I think that when you get to this time of year, that you start fishing around who has the best defense, and I know you can make a pretty strong argument that San Diego does as well. But I think this Baltimore defense is just devastating. I've never seen such versatile athletes on a defensive side of the ball because they ask those guys to blitz, they ask them to drop back in coverage, they can move, they can all run. It's a defense that, you know, they may not have the most exciting offense in the world, but with Steve McNair, he's not going to lose ball games, a la something we're kind of watching tonight in Chicago. And so for me, that's the team to beat.
Benson just ran for 11 yards, and of course, sometimes defense can do it, as they did for the Ravens back in 2000. Now you've got Benson again, so this has been a real good series for Benson. A gain of 8 here. It'll be 2nd down and 2.
You know, don't you just think, though, that one of these years is going to be Marty Schottenheimer's year? And, you know, in the San Diego Chargers, and the only thing that I'm not sure about the Chargers is a quarterback. You know, if he, you know, you have a quarterback playing his first year, he's going to have a bumpy road, and I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I sure like all the other parts the Chargers have.
No doubt. 2nd down and 3 here. Benson with a career high, over 100 yards. Here he goes again, and he picks up a 1st down, and a flag is down. So before we say 1st and goal,
offense number 76.
10-yard penalty. Getting a little life here now, though.
Down.
And I think that's one of the things, you know, as a coach, as Lovie Smith is thinking here, that, you know, they've kind of taken all the life out of us and the crowd and everything in the first half, and let's just come back here in the second half and just get something going. And, you know, maybe they aren't going to win the game, but just get the ball moving, get something up, making some plays.
The call was,
you know, what's going to be
John Tate. Go ahead, Chris.
Really interesting now is, what do the Bears do from here? Are you guys convinced that Rex Grossman's going to start this playoff game, or did tonight's performance knock him out of the box? And for Brian Griese, and really, I went back, and I know preseason means absolutely nothing, but I saw every preseason snap this year, and I thought during the preseason that Brian Griese was going to win that job. Now, I understand Rex Grossman has some special skills and does some good things out there on the field, but when you're talking about a team with this kind of a defense, if you don't lose the game on the offense, especially as you look around what's left in the NFC right now, you've got to think the Bears are the clear-cut favorite. But so many times we've seen this season that Rex Grossman and this offense makes the big mistakes that can cost you playoff games.
Well, yeah, then you go back and you're the same old Bears. So I think he'll probably start Rex Grossman and then have a quick hook to bring Brian Griese in.
Well, Griese just threw an interception, and Collins, playing no favorites tonight, has picked off both quarterbacks.
Right, and I think he would be.
How about Kyle Orton? Can we get him in?
I think the fans are going to start yelling for that next, aren't they, Al?
How about the punter, Maynard? That's right. Bring back Kyle. Bring back anybody. Green Bay has the ball, 26-7. Fireworks out on the lakefront in about 2 hours and 5 minutes or so. 1st down and 10.
And they're great fireworks, too, Al. I can see them from my room.
This is green. It's the best place to see them from, I'm convinced.
Right, it is.
Stay warm. Enjoy a beverage. Watch the fireworks. 2nd and 1.
You know, Chris, I went in last night before I talked to Brett Favre, and I thought that he was going to come back. I was sure that he was, and you just talked to him last week and did their game, and, you know, probably had the same feeling. Then after I talked to him last night, I thought that he may be retiring. And then as I watch him tonight, I don't see how he could retire.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, you know, to some extent, the pressure in my mind is really on this Green Bay Packers organization. If they're serious about winning next year, if they go out and sign guys that are short-term fixes as opposed to guys that are going to benefit the franchise 2, 3, 4 years from now, with the way that this team has played down the stretch, I mean, don't forget, this was the next team in the playoffs. I mean, they were next in line and got really close to coming all the way back and making the playoffs this season. So maybe this little run that they've had towards the end of the season is going to say to management, you know, we've got a lot of room under the cap. I think like $28 million to spend. Why not go out and sign some short-term fixes? Let's take a shot with Brett Favre, because let's be honest, once you change quarterbacks, you're going to be in for an extended run of trying to redevelop this football team.
You know, and the other thing, you know, I think it was Ted Thompson brought it up, but having Brett Favre on your team, in your organization, will help you get free agents. Not having Brett Favre there would be tough to bring an offensive free agent in, and that's what they have to do. I mean, I agree with you. Last year, you know, they got Woodson, they got Pickett on defense, AJ, you know, on the #1 draft choice, and this year, this offseason, if they keep him, they're going to have to spend some time and money and get some offensive players.
Green gets wrestled back here.
Excuse me, I was just going to say, what do you think is going to happen with Amon Green and the whole running back situation? I know his contract deal is up as well, and that's sort of an interesting call as to whether or not the Green Bay Packers bring him back.
It's probably how healthy they think he is. I mean, I think that's one of the things they need. They need a running back, definitely a tight end, and they need maybe 2 more wide receivers. And you know, I think they've done a good job playing these young offensive linemen, and I think they're going to be okay.
I'll tell you the other thing that I've seen is I think this improved defense has really been the story of the last month or so. They were pretty bad early on, but they do such a great job with man coverage schemes, and we've seen some of it tonight. They've certainly made the Bears quarterbacks look bad no matter who they put in the ball game. But this is a defense, if they are that improved, and now you could go find, say, a Tony Gonzalez that Peter King was talking about tonight, to upgrade your offense and to give some stability to that passing game. You know, how far away are the Green Bay Packers? We've seen other teams in a season turn it around, a la the New Orleans Saints this year.
No, that's right. And then, you know, they moved Cullen Jenkins to right end. I think that really helped their defensive line. And last night when we were talking to Mike McCarthy, he said to win this game, our defensive line has to win that battle with their offensive line, and they have tonight.
You know, I really only have one other question, and that's for Al. Will you please explain to America what punch ball is?
Are you kidding me, Chris? Well, that's right. You're a Florida kid, right?
I don't know punch ball. I don't know punch ball.
Punch ball is played with
and
it's a little rubber ball, which is Spalding used to make it, but you'd call it a Spalding, and it was like a handball, a little bit bigger, and it was like played with like baseball, but you'd have to play it on the street. And 2 sewers was 2 manhole covers. So if you could punch it 2 manhole covers, you were a stud.
What'd you punch it with?
Your hand. Oh, you throw it up and just punch it.
Oh,
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
John's a California guy. Come on, this is Brooklyn, like stoop ball and punch ball and stick ball.
They don't have sewers out in California?
Oh, yeah, no, good sewer.
Big storm drains.
But I was never the guy that ran to the sewer, Chris. I was always the guy that blocked for the guys that ran to the sewer.
Hey, Chris.
You were the sewer goalie?
No, I was a snapper. I was a center. You just stay in and block. Stayed in and blocked all my life.
Chris, get some sleep. You haven't had a day off since July.
I can't wait for the playoffs next week. That's going to be fun.
That'll be fun. Have a good trip to Indy. Chris Collinsworth joining us from the studio in New York as this one winds down, and this is Morency breaking a tackle, but not a second one, as Dante Wesley comes up to stop him. You know, John, talking about Favre, and will they, as you look at Times Square, under an hour to the New Year in the Eastern time zone, and Chris talking about, you know, if you go out and you take a shot and you bring in those free agents, the thing is that's different than last year. Favre didn't have to make his decision and didn't until April when the free agency period already started. Now he's, in effect, told them, I'm going to tell you in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but, you know, he has more answers now. Last year, he didn't know who the coach was going to be, who the players were going to be, who the assistant coaches. Now, you know, he knows who's going to be around him. And then, like I said, I think they have to help him a little offensively.
Rouvel Martin has had a nice night tonight. He's caught 6 passes for 109 yards.
You know, I'm impressed with all these receivers tonight because, you know, they had a problem where they were dropping the ball and they weren't going the right places, and now it looks like they're all in the right places. But
But they're really making some great catches for Brett Favre tonight. And that's what I said. I mean, we've been talking about Brett Favre, but in addition to that, his wide receivers have done a very good job. And this group here, this offensive line, I think has been outstanding.
3rd and 2. Out in the flat, Henderson. And a penalty.
You know, isn't it something? I think this is good for the National Football League. The Packers come in here and they're out of it. I mean, they have no playoff things. It's the last game of the NFL regular season, but they're playing this like a playoff game.
Defense number 21. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
This would have really been something if the Giants had lost last night.
Yeah.
And the Packers had had a chance.
And they'd be playing for the playoffs, but like Mike McCarthy said, that, you know, I didn't want to make that a playoff game. I didn't want to, because, you know, if the Giants did win, if we didn't have a chance, I didn't want, you know, any excuse for a letdown. And I think that was a smart approach, you know, that come in, it's a football game, it's a division game, it's a rivalry game, and if there's a game, there's only one way to play it. Let's go out and do that.
A little bit of symmetry in the Packers season. They open up losing 26-0, and they're closing leading 26-7 with a little more than 3.5 to play. Amon Green tonight, 21 carries, 71 yards.
You know, one thing, you know, as a coach and as a player, whenever you have a bad game, you always want to get right back and play another one. And I think this having the extra week off is going to be tough for the Bears, because this one is going to leave a taste in their mouth that they have to taste all next week and the week after that.
Absolutely. And then read about it and hear about it for the fortnight too. This is Martin picking up the first down. I mean, this is a story that is just going to get written and talked about all day, every day between now and that first playoff game. Packers tonight. Favre, a 285-yard evening. Green with 21 carries, so he's 3 carries shy of Jim Taylor's all-time Packer record, and he is about 46 yards shy of Taylor's all-time rushing mark. And Donald Driver tonight, 3 catches and 1 touchdown. Morency to the 24. So we're wrapping it up. Our first year over at NBC with Fred Godelli, our producer, Drew Esikoff, our director. Brought our guys over, George Hill and Malibu Kelly Hayes, and great technical crew. Melissa Horton up here with us as well. Dick Eversole, the Major Domo. Tons of fun. Good time had by all.
It's been great.
26-7 at the 2-minute warning. 2nd down and 7 at the 25-yard line. Morency. And the backup to Green is out of bounds at the 10-yard line. John, for what it's worth, during that 2-minute break, Brett Favre was shaking a lot of hands out on the field.
Yeah, he was. And, you know, you don't know, was that handshaking, you know, good game, great effort, or was that handshaking, you know, you're making this last one a good one?
Meanwhile, Ingle Martin's going to come into the game, and Brett Favre is going to get carried off the field by Donald Driver. And Deanna and Brittany, his daughter, and, well, we don't know. We don't know. He'll talk to Andrea after the game. We'll get a final word from him. And this is Green, pushed back.
I'll tell you, he's getting and doing a lot of hugging, and I know that you think that this could very well be his last game, and the way he's acting and reacting here, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, well, I'm going 65-35 he retires. But we're vacillating. We came in both thinking he wouldn't. Then last night we thought he would. Then he plays the way he does tonight. Well, maybe he won't.
You know, if he were to retire, I think he's leaving a lot on the plate because he still has a lot in him.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that brought him back this year is he was driving along and he heard Phil Simms in an interview talking about, you know, if he can still play, don't walk away too early. And, you know, that it hit him at the right time, and he came back, and he's going to hear a lot of that again over the next couple of weeks, too.
You know, I think you can tell it in his eyes. I think if his eyes are dry, no, that's being ridiculous. If his eyes are dry, he's coming back. If they're not dry, he's not.
Well, we'll get a close-up look when he talks to Andrea in just a moment here. But for what it's worth, a good night for Brett, a great night for the Packers. They end the season with 4 consecutive wins. Chicago winds up 13-3. The road to the Super Bowl